Are we alone in the universe? Do aliens really exist? Are they visiting our planet? These are some of perhaps the most important questions of our time. The answers to these questions would forever change humanity. Over the course of the next hour, we will reveal to you some very disturbing truths. We strongly advise that only the strong of heart and mind continue watching. Our story begins a long time ago, long before Adam and Eve walked the earth. Before our race claimed the earth as its own, there were other species, other creatures, whom called this planet home. And even today, there lives on this planet many different species of aliens. Imam Ahmed al-Hassan alayhi salam said that the numbers of aliens on this planet today are in the millions. Many of them have the ability to shapeshift and appear in the image and form of human beings. Some of them have come to this planet looking for knowledge. A great many of them have come to this planet with the intention of causing harm and havoc to human beings.
It's a one-of-a-kind piece of property that just went up for sale in Buckeye.
And its owner says whoever buys it will likely have a lot of unwelcome guests. Lauren Reimer went to check it out tonight.
We have 4 bedrooms in the house.
This seemingly peaceful Buckeye Horse property was recently put on the market.
We have a 10-foot deep diving pool.
According to its owner, John Edmonds, Stardust Ranch also has one quality you won't find anywhere else.
Well, we have 2 alien portals. We have one in the front and one in the back.
And through those portals, he says they often get otherworldly visitors.
The grays, unfortunately, that we have run into in the house and on the property are anything but peaceful.
He says he has the scars to prove it.
I've killed 19 of them here on the property.
So after 20 years of defending his property from extraterrestrials,
They have large black bulbous eyes.
Edmonds and his wife say it's time to move.
It's going to go to somebody that understands the true nature of what's here.
In 1996, a ranch in Rainbow Valley, Arizona was purchased by a man named John Edmonds, a psychiatric therapist, and his wife Joyce, an ex-FBI employee. It was a place of solitude and encompassed all that John needed. From the start, a series of out-of-the-ordinary events caused things to go in an unpredicted direction, causing the ranch to become one of the most unusual places in the world. So John saw an unknown man approach the ranch with a machete in hand. Being distant from any help, John himself went out to deal with the lurking stranger. This man claimed to live on the plot. John, hearing this, insisted he was crazy and that he should leave. The man then muttered something that would haunt John forever. "You are going to wish I was here. You are going to really be sorry. There are monsters on this property. I killed them." The man left, never to be seen by John again.
Almost immediately from the day we moved in, we began to have strange experiences.
John first started seeing mysterious lights in the sky, followed by orange orbs. That's when the uninvited guests arrived.
Literally gray aliens that attacked animals. They were in the house.
John described them as being 40 inches tall with large compound eyes similar to a fly, with grey reptile-like skin. Apparently they would invade his home at night in groups of 3. After many years of these recurring visits, his wife Joyce had claimed that she was frequently attacked and violated, saying she was unable to scream during the incidents. She also had visible signs of injury all over her body.
Actually levitated her out of the bed in the master chamber, out into the parking lot, and tried to draw her up into a craft.
John talked of instances of missing time and transportation, saying it was down to him being abducted. After reaching a limit, John bought a series of weapons of defense to protect his wife, animals, and the rest of the ranch. Even after he continued to use the ranch to look after rescued animals, such as horses and dogs. At times he would find his horses in a horrific scene, having been mutilated, their tongues and eyes ripped out, including an incident where 3 of his dogs died a week after attacking a grey, despite not sustaining any visible injuries. Another event followed when John's wife, Joyce, was being abducted. He went outside and fired his gun towards the greys that were next to a cone of light, firing until they retreated. Some might say John was insane, but this series of suspicious events doesn't end here. After stabbing and killing a grey, John had collected some fluid and tissue from the end of his sword. The entire body of the grey had disappeared as usual, but the remaining evidence had been sent off to Michigan, United States, to a biophysicist named W.C. Levengood for analyzing. The results showed that the fluid appeared to be pure hemoglobin, similar to samples collected from cattle mutilations linked to alien life. The blood did not match any other animal or human specimen. The skin sample appeared to look like cemented grass, but it was not grass. It was an animal-based material that has never been seen before. A story that adds credibility to John's claims is of the physicist Levengood, who was initially excited and interested in this case, but later dropped it and stopped all contact with John. Shockingly, not so long after, he was killed in a freak accident in his lab. Not so surprisingly, the grey samples had gone missing. John, having received many visits from the supposed Men in Black, tends to not give many interviews, but in one particular interview, John believes sight of the greys was captured in the background, right behind where he was sitting. But why is this story so unheard of, and why have no further investigations taken place?
In fact, many of the unsolved murders and kidnappings are committed by these beings. And most of these beings whom visit our planet consider us to be of extremely low intelligence. And in many cases, they do abduct people from this planet for testing. And they have particular reasons for abducting certain people. They do not select nor abduct randomly. And most of the aliens whom have come to this planet come for sex.
I don't know much, but I do know for sure that I lost my virginity to an extraterrestrial woman. My first encounter was when I was 8 years old, and I've been having them ever since. There were the Greys, the little hairy guy, an insect being, and then there was Crescent. They came into my bedroom, and we floated up. His eyes overpowered. You hurt me, you hurt me. I just lay down on the ground, and she gets on top of me. Yes, it's real. No, it's not. It's just a dream. After I had done my first painting, I felt better. It was just a relief to get the images down on the canvas.
Stephanie Cohen. Stephanie claims that she is often visited by aliens who help to guide her through life. Not only does she claim aliens sneak into her room at night, she also says that she has sex with them and has out-of-this-world orgasms.
Like the stars at night, that's how prolific it is.
Who is Ian the Octopus Man?
Yeah, he's an octopus man. He stays quite close to me, sort of like a spirit kind of boyfriend, but not really boyfriend. I don't call it boyfriend, just a good spirit friend. And he happens to be from the octopus race. I mean, all of them indulge in insects, but particularly the cat people are extremely highly charged sexually. You know, and it's part of our culture, the cat people culture.
Why don't they show themselves?
Because then they're not into showing off. They're very quite reserved in themselves.
Well, they have sex with you at a bus stop. That's not very reserved.
No. What I mean is they don't show themselves to the world like that. They tend to deal on a personal level with individuals.
Peter is a security guard and a devoted family man with a remarkable story to tell about an alien encounter that he claims left him with the Holy Grail: DNA evidence.
What happened in 1992 was something you don't expect. And I've never had an experience or heard of experiences that have happened during the day. And this is 7:15 in the morning. I'm lying there and I feel like something jumped on the bed like a cat. As I sit up, I see sitting straddling me a naked blonde female and sitting on the corner of the bed. So say I'm lying here on the bed, she's straddling me there, and right on the corner here is another female. The one that was sitting on top of me was blonde, very milky white skin, very, very attractive, but at the same time, longer face, a long nose, but it wasn't a big nose again, it was just like, it fitted their features very well, larger eyes, very well proportioned, I mean, I've got to say, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? How did you get in here? And as I'm thinking this, I sit up, and as I sit up, she's cupped the back of my head with both her hands and pulled me to her breast, left breast, and pushed my face into it. My defense mechanism, whatever you want to call it, and it's so out of thing with me, I took a little bite, I nipped, and I felt flesh, in my mouth. I didn't taste blood or anything, but I felt this bit of flesh in my mouth. I thought it was a bit of a nipple maybe. And as it hit the back of my throat, it was like you poured acid down the back of my throat, just this really bad chemical reaction. I started coughing, very heavy coughing, and as I've looked down and coughed, I've looked up and I saw them looking at each other, and I picked up what they were saying. They weren't speaking, but it was telepathic communication again, and it was, he's done this wrong, something's gone wrong, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, he's done this wrong. And I'm like, what the heck, what are you going on about? I could pick on it, I could hear it. I had an erection for like 6 hours afterwards, and it was pretty painful. And under my foreskin I found 2 hairs. One was like an S shape, almost curled, and the other one was sort of not, it was just wrapped around, embedded in though, like if you push your nail into, you get a little bit of a mark. That's what they were in. They were embedded. I could see that they weren't on the surface. And as I tried to take them off, peel them off, it was total agony. And so I knew it had to be from them.
Peter released his sample for DNA analysis, which was conducted by a biochemist. The results that came back were extremely unusual.
And mate, I was bombarded with phone calls from the scientists. Come to our house, took hair samples from me, hair samples from Vivian, blood from me. So it was starting to get like a forensic investigation. What they found was the analysis confirmed the hair came from someone who was biologically close to normal human genetics, but of an unusual racial type, a rare Chinese Mongoloid type, one of the rarest human lineages known. that lies further from the human mainstream than any other except for African pygmies and aborigines. There was the strange anomaly of it being blonde to clear instead of black, as it would be expected from the Asian-type mitochondrial DNA. The study concluded the most probable donor, therefore, must be, as Curie claims, a tall blonde female who does not need much colour in her hair or skin as a form of protection against the sun, perhaps because she doesn't require it.
Chris has decided he needs to talk to Peter Curie again.
Hello?
Hello? Hello, Peter?
Speaking.
G'day, it's Chris Rodwell. How you going? Your account yesterday was pretty mind-blowing and quite detailed. Look, I was wondering whether or not you would be prepared to undergo a polygraph test.
Oh, not a problem. I've always requested it, mate.
It makes it much more believable to me, the fact he was so eager to do the polygraph test. I mean, how can it not? There's a guy saying, without a hesitation, without a shadow of a doubt, yep, I'll do it. What can you go, okay, well, right. Right. That wasn't, I was expecting even a thought. No, do it.
Whilst the polygraph test is conducted, the room must be cleared. So Mary and Chris have to wait outside until Gavin is finished.
It's going to be fascinating. He wants to get an answer, and he really is very interested in doing it. So that's going to be a fitting finale, I think. Really, if he passes that, what can you say?
Now, these things, they just record how you're going to breathe during the test. So just raise your arms up again. This one's going to go up and around your thoracic area. All right, just drop your arms down. Yeah. Those sensors on your fingertips, they record perspiration, right?
Yep.
Okay. If you're feeling faint, if you're feeling uneasy, queasy, whatever, let us know if you do.
Yeah.
Relax. Okay, Peter, the test is about to begin. I'm now going to get you to close your eyes for me. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Don't move, and answer each test question truthfully. Is today Wednesday?
Yes.
Is your first name Peter?
Yes.
Do you intend to deliberately lie to any test question?
No.
Chris, Mary, I suppose you're going to know what the results were. Peter passed the test.
Great. I'm happy.
So, as far as I'm concerned, what he witnessed, there has to be some merit in that.
The polygraph test has validated Peter's account of the events and reinforced his belief that the scientific community need to take this matter seriously.
Look, I think the DNA went a long way to helping people believe. Hopefully with a polygraph to back it, people can then sit back and say, well, if the guy's not lying, there's got to be something there, you know, and if there's something there, and if it's 5% of all the reports around the world, if 5% of those reports are legitimate, and mine is part of that, then, geez, we've got a phenomenon we need to look at.
I mean, the results actually haven't surprised me, because I've always believed Peter, and I know that he's got absolutely nothing to gain by saying something so incredible.
Not only does there exist on this planet right now millions of aliens, but there also exists a large number of alien-human hybrids. Some of them know they are of alien origin, others do not. An alien-human hybrid is a child or the offspring whom is born as a result of sexual intercourse between an alien and a human. This is an image of a real alien-human hybrid, whom knows they are of alien descent. And the strange thing about this hybrid is that it is not a woman, but it is a male. The human DNA is particularly strong and overpowers the DNA of most aliens, and for that reason most of the hybrids born look like normal human babies. However, in some cases, generations later, after a human-alien hybrid is born, and they have children and grandchildren, the alien DNA sometimes surfaces somewhere along the line and causes a child descendant of the alien-human hybrid to be born with what modern medicine has classified as a disease. But in fact, it is just the alien DNA surfacing. One example of this are babies born with Harlequin Ichthyosis. Babies born with Harlequin Ichthyosis are actually descendants of an alien parent. The alien species which they are descendant of are called the Asur. The Asur are a species of aliens which have the ability to shapeshift into human form and are present on our planet today and have been present for quite some time.
And support. He claims the situation is under control.
6'1", born with a rare disorder called Harlequin Ichthyosis. Skin produces too many cells, causing massive diamond-shaped scales that can't retain water. In addition, the eyes are formed inside out. Life expectancy is 2 weeks. This guy's 30.
In their natural form, they have scaly skin, and as adults have gray eyes, and resemble, very much so, the Harlequin Ichthyosis baby. The universe is filled with life, and there are some aliens whom live their lives so fast that they are born and grow up and die within 1 day of our time length. There are other species of aliens who live on such a different frequency than ours that when they look at our planet, they see it as if it was empty of life, uninhabited. There are other species of aliens whom look primitive, and if you were to see them, you would consider them to be of low intelligence, but yet they are highly evolved and advanced spiritually. One species of aliens that have come to Earth come from the Sirius star system. They come from a planet called Kuthul, and it is a name in their language which means patience. And this is what they look like. They have large, oval-shaped eyes and bluish skin. They are a species which is much more advanced than us, and some of them are here on Earth today. This particular painting was painted by one of the people from Kuthul, who came to Earth and lost their way home. Imam Ahmad al-Hassan ﷺ said, "It is painted by one of those from the planet Kuthul, whom came to Earth and lost their way home, and the people here consider him to be crazy." And how many are those who live on Earth today that the people consider to be crazy without paying any attention to?
On Wednesday, May 9, 2001, over 20 military, intelligence, government, corporate and scientific witnesses came forward at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. to establish the reality of UFOs or extraterrestrial vehicles, extraterrestrial life forms, and resulting advanced energy and propulsion technologies. The event was organised by Dr. Stephen Greer. During the testimonies, Sergeant Clifford Stone, former member of an elite extraterrestrial retrieval team who had direct first-hand contact with extraterrestrial beings, disclosed to the press that the US government is aware of species of aliens living amongst us.
Describe what they look like.
I could, but it would probably take a whole lot of time. The reason I state that, when I got out in 1989, we had cataloged 57 different species. You have individuals that look very much like you and myself that could walk among us and you wouldn't even notice the difference, except for some of the things that they might be able to go ahead, even in a dark room, and touch an object and go ahead and identify what color that object might be. They would have a heightened sense of smell, sight, hearing. The situation is that you have various types of what we normally call grays. We didn't call them grays in the military, but you had at least 3 types of the grays. You had some that were much taller than we were. The unique thing that I'd like to point out for the most part is that the entities that we did catalog were in fact humanoid. Now this created a situation where the scientific community was trying to figure out why that would be the case, because you would expect that if life evolved on other planets, that they would take on some type of other being, so to speak, not necessarily look humanoid or be bipedal such as we are. But apparently we got quite a few of the species out there that are humanoid in appearance, and that creates a question that yet has to be answered by science.
Yes, and as I call on you, please state the news agency that you were with. Yes, ma'am.
A former US government official, Phil Schneider, came forth to tell the truth about aliens living amongst us, and this was months before he was found strangled to death.
Aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture, let me reach for it here. I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background. This whole place, the ready room of the USS Eldridge, Al Bielek has probably explained, or maybe even shown you this picture. There's a list of some of the notable people in it. They're all the atomic bomb scientists of the day, all the time variant experimentalists of the day, all the top physicists of that particular day. This was in August of 1943. Now this guy has not changed one iota in 58 years. Started work, he came here, crashed here or whatever, whether he's under duress or not. He started work for our U.S. Navy and military operations in 1937, either 37 or 38 is what I've been told. So it's for 58 years, this man's been employed, probably under duress. If you don't do as we say, we're just going to use you for alien bait or something, I don't know. But anyway, he basically hasn't changed. He lives for 490 years, is what he says his lifespan is. Now, he's supposedly a semi-benevolent, he's a human-looking type person. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's got one oversized heart, one lung, giant lung. His blood vessels are bigger. He's got copper oxide for blood, similar to an octopus. His brain capacity, 300 centimeters greater than ours. He has a thinking capacity, IQ, if you were to measure it, be totally off the scale, be about a 1200 IQ. He speaks 100 languages fluently, alien as well as others. He's a remarkable person. I had a chance to meet him one time.
Former NATO intelligence analyst Robert Dean also came forth to reveal what he knew from his years working in NATO with the highest military clearance.
Robert Dean has a list of credentials a mile long. He served 4 years from 1963 to 1967 at Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers, Europe, the military arm of NATO. He was an intelligence analyst with a cosmic top-secret clearance.
Well, Don, it began for me in 1963 when I was assigned to the Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers in Europe. I arrived in the summer of '63 and I was assigned to the Operations Division. I was further assigned to what we call SHOC, the War Room, the Supreme Headquarters Operations Center. And at that time I was given a cosmic top-secret clearance, which was and still is the highest level of security access that NATO has. When I was assigned to the War Room, I learned that a study had been initiated in 1961, and everybody was talking about it. They were gossiping about it. And the subject was UFOs, and that intrigued me a bit. When that study was concluded in 1964 and it was published, and I was still working in the War Room at that time, I had access to this document. I had a chance to read it. And having been exposed to it, I must tell you honestly that my life has never ever quite been the same. Because I read first-hand reports, verifiable NATO military material that indicated that the UFOs were not only real, that they represented something far beyond anything I had ever imagined before. When the study was concluded in '64, they concluded that there were 4 different groups apparently coming and visiting us. Out of those 4 different groups, one group looked exactly like we do, so much so that they could sit beside you in a restaurant or in an airplane or in a theater, and you'd never know. And that particular point bothered the military guys a lot. Point being that some of these people from somewhere could be walking up and down the corridors of SHAPE headquarters, or they could be walking up and down the corridors of the Pentagon. One day at lunch, a lieutenant colonel made the remark, he says, Jesus, do you realize they could even be in the White House? And there was a little forced laughter at that point, I remember, because a lot of us over the years have had some misgivings about the occupants of the White House. But the point I'm making is that the idea that aliens could be here in our midst bothered the military, because if you're not paranoid when you go into the service, you're certainly trained very quickly to be so. It's the nature of the military mind, I think, to be paranoid. But that was only part of the story. The SHAPE conclusions in '64 were that there were 4 groups that we knew of. They were apparently interplanetary. Some very likely were interstellar. They even concluded that some of them could be intergalactic. When I retired in 1976, many of our military people knew at that point that we were not simply dealing with visitations from people from other planets or star systems. They had concluded by '76 that some of these visitors very well might be multidimensional in their source. The evidence that we had collected and the evidence that they had repeatedly demonstrated to us, and that's no accident. It became very clear after a time that there was a program or a process of some kind underway, that they had demonstrated over and over and over again that they apparently were able to manipulate matter and time. Now this really shook up our scientists. There are a lot of new young scientists in particle physics today who talk about multiple dimensions. There's a brilliant young professor in New York by the name of Michio Kaku, who has written a brilliant book called Hyperspace, where they talk about 10 separate dimensions. I'm not enough of a physicist to try to explain to you what a dimension is, but the idea that there could be intelligences from somewhere else, from other dimensions coming and going into our reality. It's been quite a shake-up in traditional science. I guess I speak out openly and bluntly about this because I feel so strongly about it. I violate my security oath every time I speak about it. I do it intentionally and I do it on purpose, because I feel so strongly that the American people not only have a right to know the truth, but they have a need to know the truth. The truth, Don, apparently is simply this, that we're not alone, we've never been alone. We are apparently part of an infinite universe filled with intelligent life. I find that exciting. It doesn't frighten me. The shape study concluded in '64 that if they, whoever they were malevolent or hostile, that they could have taken this planet and cleaned it up and eliminated us, turned us into dog food or whatever, a long, long time ago. That the historical evidence indicates that they've been with us a long time, and I've concluded that we had what I like to call an intimate interrelationship with at least one of those groups, the group that looks exactly like we do. And that point is I don't like the word alien. I don't think the term alien is appropriate at all here. I like to refer to them as family. We're related to them. I think they had a hand in our being here. And I think the time has come where we're about to meet our extended family. It's going to be very soon. And the people are not ready. And one of the reasons I do speak out so bluntly and so openly is if in some small way I can help people get prepared for this. Because I believe that this reality, once we have accepted it and understood it and gone beyond the fear, will bring about an expansion of consciousness in the human race that will truly help us and prepare us to go out there and take our rightful place in that infinite community of life.
And then there is Gary McKinnon, who is a British citizen whom was accused of hacking into 97 United States military and NASA computers over a 13-month period between February 2001 and March 2002. What McKinnon claimed to have found on the servers was extraordinary.
The U.S. claims that between March 2001 and March 2002, Mr. McKinnon hacked into the systems of NASA, the United States military, and the U.S. Department of Defense from his home computer in North London. And among other things, deleted user accounts, operating system files, and copied account names and passwords to his own computer. McKinnon admitted that he hacked into the systems, saying that he was looking for evidence of UFOs.
Back to the most interesting matter at hand, what did he find in the way of UFO evidence?
Well, he says he spent a year looking through these computer systems, and he found, he says, photographic evidence of photographic proof of alien spacecraft and the names and ranks of something he called non-terrestrial officers. He has not at this point shared those names with us.
The first thing was documentation. I used a program called Land Search, I think, that once you had control over the domain, because you'd get control of domain controllers, so you own the whole network, basically. And Land Search could actually search all the files and folders on every machine. And obviously it's hard because things aren't going to be called secret UFO data.pdf, are they? So, but I'd scan and look for documents, etc., etc. And I found an Excel spreadsheet that was actually called, or at least in the heading of the column, it said non-terrestrial officers. And I was like, my bloody God, that's just
non-terrestrial officers.
Non-terrestrial officers with ranks and names, and then a separate sheet with tabs for material transfer between ships. And these were, I mean, I don't remember the names now. That's a long time ago. A lot of people give me a hard time for not remembering the names and stuff, but it was a long time ago.
Right.
But non-terrestrial officers thought, well, it must be, let's try and cut out all the possible conventional explanations first. I searched for that term. It was nowhere. It was nowhere at all. Now if you search for the term, you only find links to me and stuff that I've said.
The United States government wanted to extradite McKinnon to the United States where he would face trial, and even President Obama talked about the McKinnon case.
So this British guy accused of what a U.S. prosecutor calls the biggest military computer hack in all time.
After careful consideration of all of the relevant material, I have concluded that Mr. McKinnon's extradition would give rise to such a high risk of him ending his life.
The United States is disappointed by the decision to deny Gary McKinnon's extradition to face long overdue justice in the United States. We are examining the details of the decision.
There's been tension between the UK and the US over the case of Gary McKinnon.
Today it seemed there was a softening of the American stance on extraditing him to the United States.
It is now in the hands of the British legal system. We have confidence in the British legal system coming to a just conclusion, and so we await resolution and will be respectful of that process.